I'm confident this group can go out there and do England proud, and that's what all this prep work's about, is us doing the work together, but working really hard away from here so that when we get there we've got no regrets in terms of what we put out on the field. We've got a lot of challenges ahead of us, and I think Vegas wasn't what we would have hoped for in terms of the result, but also it was the exact wake-up call that we needed to make sure that we go into this World Cup with our eyes open and ready to take it on. So for me, it's about learning lessons from that and going into it with a clear plan and clear structure. And look, you see the talent across the Women's Super League now, the young girls that are coming into it. There'll be players that come into this squad that we're not even talking about yet come the end of the year, and that's because the Women's Super League's growing. So we just need to focus on creating a squad that can adapt and really just match the rest of the world physically, but also in terms of believing in themselves and going out there knowing that they've done all the hard work, it's all in the bank, and let's just see what we can do out there, because I think everything changes a little bit in a World Cup year. When you're looking at peaking, when you're looking at being at the height of your strength, your fitness, it's probably a little bit different than in a normal season. So we're working really, really hard, but you know, clubs and strength conditioners at clubs are also thinking about what's coming at the end of the year. What the plan for the season looks like is always structured around that World Cup and peaking then as well, because you know, whoever you play for, whatever your interest, if you're in England and involved in rugby league, you want England to do well in a World Cup. So I think everybody kind of comes together and knows there's kind of a big picture at the end of the year, which is massive for the women's game. It's an opportunity to get eyes on the sport that we don't have. That's what playing for your country provides you. That's what playing on the big stage does. Been lucky that we've had quite a lot of fixtures against Wales and against France, and we've performed really well in them, and defensively we took loads out of them because we managed to get clean sheets. And I think that's probably what hurt us a little bit from Vegas, was that prior to that our defence had been solid. We worked a lot on our attack, which I think if we'd got more opportunities with the ball, I think we could have challenged Australia a little bit. We've seen some footage where there are opportunities to score, we just didn't have the ball enough, and that's where I think there's lots we could learn from that around our defence. But again, from previous campaigns, from what we've been able to put out, we know from an attacking perspective we've got a lot of talent in this squad as well. So I think we can find a balance between the two. We've now had a test against the best in the world, and they're that for a reason, the world champions, and they deserve to be with what they put out on the field. So we can learn from that, and defensively how we need to be better against the best teams. But loads of confidence from some of the score lines we've put up against Wales and France, and the defensive clean sheets I think are massive. So we just need to put the two together and merge them into a performance that goes out there. And look, it's a couple of games and it's 80 minutes. Anything can happen in 80 minutes, and you can turn big score lines around quite quickly. So yeah, it's about putting all the different pieces of the puzzle for what we've learned, not just the last 12 months, but the last 4 or 5 years since the last World Cup. I think we're at 3 girls in the squad that were part of that 2017 World Cup squad that went out there and played in Australia. And at that time, that catapulted the women's game. Prior to that, it was very much in the shadows, and that was the first time that it was being played, men's and women's, together as part of the same tournament and a double header final. And I remember in the build-up to that, obviously I took an ACL injury, and realistically shouldn't have managed to get there and go. I was really lucky, and I did, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. And I think it's prepared us, and hopefully I'll learn a lot from that to help and support the young girls in this squad who will take us forward in this World Cup and many beyond that as well, because I know how good they are. I've seen their progression and their growth in Australia. That's where rugby league is at its height in terms of interest, in terms of people who care about what we do. So we're going to go out there and there'll be a lot of eyes on us, and we're going to want to put our best foot forward, whatever that looks like. For me, it's all about no regrets. I've not got many years left. I've been really fortunate with the career I've had. If my career ended tomorrow, I can do it quite content. I feel very fortunate. I feel really lucky from what I've done. But there is an unfinished piece of the puzzle, which is, captaining my country in a World Cup. Hopefully making a World Cup final. I've not managed to do that in my career, and I've played in a few World Cups now. So my drive is to go into that World Cup with personally no regrets that I couldn't do any more. So whatever happens off the back of it, whatever result we come out with, whatever the outcome is, I can't look back and criticise myself. That's my goal, is just get to the end of that World Cup, whatever it looks like, and when we're sat on the plane, be able to look myself in the mirror and know I did everything I could to help this squad. And I suppose it starts with getting on the plane in the first place and getting picked. So have a good season for Saints, and hopefully that'll come off the back of it. I think it's brilliant that we've got a game before then. Like I say, the squad's changing constantly. There's girls that put the hand up with the form they're playing in for club. That means you've got to consider them for England. And if you look at the Vega squad compared to the Wales squad last season, they was only a couple of months apart and the squad was significantly different. That could easily happen again, so having that mid-season point at which, you know, the girls that are currently in the squad get a chance to prove themselves as to why they should be on the plane to Australia, but also any girls that have shown really good form in the Women's Super League up until that point, they can put the hand up as well and go, give me a shot, I think I deserve a place on the plane. So I think for internal competition, I think it's brilliant, but also then whatever Stu's best team is at that point, being able to get on the field and put it into practice is massive. You know, you can train all you want, but having a real competitive match where you've got a defence against you who's trying to stop you, you can't replicate that the same. So being able to really test ourselves is what we need. So really excited for that. You know, hopefully we'll have a great start to the Women's Super League and England will go into that really strong and hopefully build loads of confidence then going into the end of the year in the World Cup.